Hello, YouTubers. Um, of course, we know Infinity War sequel, Endgame, and the last of the MCU universe as we know it is going to be out on the 26th. Here's my opinion of Endgame. Infinity War did really nothing for me, as did Black Panther. I thought Black Panther was dramatically overrated. I enjoyed him more in Civil War. And in his own solo movie, the problem I had is every time he turned around, he was getting his ass kicked. In Infinity War, to me, there was too many plot holes. Let's start off with Dr. Banner just happens to crash into where Doctor Strange and his people hang out at. I mean, their lair, their wizard's lair. He just happens to crash there, where only a handful of people know where it's at, but he just happens to land there. So we'll overlook that. When the invasion starts, the first thing, if I was Doctor Strange and you're trying to protect the time stone, would be to have stopped time. He could have stopped time right then. He could have backed time up. And they could have, the entire team tried to work on a way to solve this. And if it was like he said, there was only one way to do it, then you go into battle. You know what the outcome is going to be. You're going to lose. And you go on from there. Other plot holes was, things that I just didn't like was, Vision wields one of the most powerful stones, the Mind Stone, which means he can control how people react. He can control the thoughts and the actions of others. Like in Black Panther, every time you turned around, he was getting his ass kicked. So, there was just things that didn't make sense to me. Now, I like the way they broke everything up and you didn't have every single Avenger at one spot. By having Thor get the Stormbreaker, having the Battle of Wakanda and the Battle on Titan, kind of separated it and didn't make it a convoluted mess there. So, but there's just one thing that I just can't get out of my mind is when Tony Stark gets stabbed by Thanos and the blade is sticking a foot plus out of his chest. I'm sorry. I don't care what it is. Unless he's superhuman, he's dead. I mean, end of story. So you're telling me that blade went through there and missed every vital organ there is, and no problem. He cauterizes a wound in the front. Who did that in the back? Would he give him one of his gloves and say, "Hey, can you fix that?" Oh, don't worry about my chest filling up with blood. I mean, I know people are saying you're overthinking it, but these are things that you just look at and kind of shake your head. I mean, let's go to The Dark Knight. There's two things that people nitpicked about. Bale's, the voice he used, that sounded like he had laryngitis. But the main thing was, they didn't like that the Joker origin had changed. He didn't fall in a vat of acid and come out white and then become a lunatic. He was just a guy with scars and makeup on, and people complained about that. These are the comic book geeks complaining about that. Me, this made more sense Because as far as I know, the Joker had no superhuman powers. Anybody that falls in a vat of acid, you know, hundreds and hundreds of gallons of acid, is going to be dead. Nolan plainly said, when asked why Superman wasn't in there, he said, this is a different universe. This is grounded, this is in a real world. So, to me, it was refreshing instead of seeing the same old comic book narrative. They took, as far as the mob goes, from the movie Heat. They talked about Clockwork Orange. And then they use certain parts of the comic books. You know, but you can't take a 50 cents comic book and use it as the entire base. I mean, use everything word for word and action for action to make a movie. You know, you're spending $200 million to make a movie. You can take pieces and ideas to satisfy the people who like comic books. But you can't just take it and run with it from the comic book. So I like that he changed it. I liked in Batman Begins how he became Batman. We never knew that. Well, at least in Nolan's world, this is how he becomes Batman. The second one was, let's just get this straight. This has nothing to do with liking DC or liking Marvel. I probably have more Marvel movies than I do DC movies. It has a fact with where, as brilliant as Marvel has been at playing this along for a decade, stretching it out to 22 movies, they marketed it, I mean, brilliantly. But their problem is they don't have a great villain. And as many people who have, I mean, real film critics, I'm not talking about half the douchebags on Rotten Tomato, who have no business even, you know, being a critic of a film, is that they don't have a great villain. And as was said, your hero is only as great as the villain is. And hands down, Ledger is the best comic book villain. His portrayal of the Joker will never be topped, period. I don't care what anybody says. And has and this crap too about the only reason he won Best Supporting Actor, won the award after he passed, is because he was dead. No, it's because it was one of the most brilliant portrayals of a character, not just in the comic books. It's a tops in comic books, but on screen, period. The Dark Knight, when you look at it as a movie as a whole, when they have, I've seen 3 sites where they rated the top 100 movies going back from the 30s to now. It's the only comic book movie in there. So that says a lot about it, where it stands on its own. It stands on its own merits. You know, you can't, I'm sorry, you can't sit there and say the only reason the Joker became, Heath Ledger won the award for playing the Joker is because he was dead. And that's the only reason people went out and seen it. No. It was a great movie. It was beyond a great movie. It's easily one of the top 10 movies ever made. Now, Marvel does their movies different. It's more comic book based. It's more, they try and stick with a lot of things that are in the comic books. So, which means it's not kind of grounded and real and serious like The Dark Knight was. And you see what happens when somebody tried to copy it, like Zack Snyder. It didn't work. It worked for Nolan because Nolan is a brilliant storyteller. And not only that, his films look phenomenal, visually too, to the eyes. So Marvel has done a great job with campaigning, you know, doing the entire run of movies, though I think they could have probably done this in 10 or 15 movies instead of 22. Um, but their special effects are better than DC's. Taking point, Henry Cavill's, covering up the mustache. That was atrocious. And I'm a DC guy because more of a Marvel than a Marvel guy is, not because Marvel doesn't make very good movies. They do. Civil War was a great movie. The Iron Man was a great movie. A movie that wasn't in the DC universe. Logan, it was just the most brutal comic book movie I've ever seen. So don't think that I'm a DC fanboy, but I grew up watching Batman and I grew up watching Superman. So those naturally would kind of hit home with me. But I like a movie because it's a great movie or it's a very good movie. I don't care who makes it, who's in it. I don't care if the lead is a woman. I don't care if they're black, Hispanic. I don't care what they are. Play a good part. Here's something that has just really gone overboard. In Star Wars, it's Rey. In DC's world now, it's Captain Marvel, Brie Larson. The problem that Marvel created and kind of got this hate train rolling against her. One, is she said some things she probably shouldn't have. But two, they introduced her way too late in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They should have brought her in 4 or 5 movies ago. Got you used to her, got you used to the way she is in real life. Then you could have got over some of this stuff. But I can understand she just pops in, and the biggest problem that Marvel fans have, and I knew this from the beginning, is they don't want her to be the main one that gets rid of Thanos. You want it to be Cap, Tony, Thor. You want it to be one of your favorite Marvel characters, not somebody who just showed up. And I can understand that. But there's no sense in trashing it. I get YouTube notifications every day, and the majority of them, I'll get probably 6, 8, 10 of them a day. The majority of them are trashing either Rey from Star Wars or mainly Captain Marvel and the SJW stuff. It just gets to be like, okay, you have an opinion just like I do. Tell it and just let it be. Maybe say it once or twice, but to just the same people, and I'm not going to mention their names because I don't want to start shit. I want enemies. The thing is, you've made your point. You don't have to say it 50 fucking times over. We understand you don't like her. You don't like Rey. You don't like the way they disrespected Luke. And I agree with you. But you know what? Mark Hamill had a decision. He didn't have to do that movie. He decided to do it. He decided to take the script on and do it. He should have said, listen, if you don't change it, I'm out. And my understanding is that the only way they got Harrison Ford to play in it was that, okay, kill my character off. I want him gone. Mark Hamill wields that kind of power and said, listen, the stuff you're writing, the way you're disrespecting Luke Skywalker is bullshit. And I agree with you. I don't have the problem of Rey being all that powerful. I mean, that just, it happens in a lot of these, first of all, let's back it up. We're talking about fictional worlds, comic book movies, fictional characters that, don't exist. So why are we getting all upset? I mean, the writers write it, you either like it and go to the movies or you have a choice not to. and you watch it on DVD, and if it confirms what you thought all along, that it was shit, then fine. I mean, but to hammer on it non-stop, it's fucking ridiculous. Stop. Just stop. Now, here comes Endgame. The only thing with Endgame is, and some of the great Marvel movies, and when DC knew how to write a movie, thank God a couple of their movies, like Aquaman was a decent movie, not great. Kind of reminded me of the first Avenger. Was good, not great. Shazam I thought was very good. And Wonder Woman, which I thought was outstanding. But they also had 3 shitty movies along with it. I don't care, DC fan or not, if you don't admit that Batman v Superman, Justice League, and Suicide Squad were absolute garbage, then you're a fanboy beyond a fanboy. And Marvel fans, the one thing I have to say about them is that they are so die-hard, they very rarely will ever criticize a movie. The only movie I seen them criticize was Captain Marvel. Like I said, if they had introduced her 4 or 5 movies ago, 4 or 5 years ago, then you would have gotten used to her. And maybe they would have picked a different character to play her. They waited until the end, and I understand why you're upset about that. Say your piece and be over with it. We don't need to hear it a million times over. So now here we are at the Endgame. We're 22 movies to the end. It almost feels like a TV show. 22 to 24 movies. I think you could have got there quicker. But let's be honest. Once they hit Avengers, they knew they had a money grab system in place. They knew the fans were just going to pile in and see whatever they put out, whether it was good or bad. We didn't need another fucking Spider-Man movie. We needed that like we needed a hole in our head. It just... excuse me if the went out there. But anyway, I'm so sick of Spider-Man movies. Will be the 7th one that's coming up. We've had 3 different people play them over the past 16, 17 years. I'm tired of Spider-Man. They could have introduced Spider-Man after, they could have, Civil War he had his little part. Then they could have introduced him into his own movie when the new Marvel Cinematic Universe comes along. So, as I was saying, in Endgame, the biggest problem I have with it is you pretty much know a lot of what's going to happen. You just don't know how it's going to happen. You haven't seen it yet with your eyes. And I think it was bullshit that somebody leaked the trailer online. Let the fans go in there and enjoy it. Now, did I watch the leak? Yeah. Because it's not going to change my mind to go see it. I've seen all 21. I'm not going to go to see the 22nd one. So, the thing is, we knew that they were going to time travel. Either by Quantum Realm or Captain Marvel. Because if I understand right, she has the ability to time travel. They were going to introduce a very powerful new Avenger, being Captain Marvel. We knew that. We knew Tony was going to make it back. He was going to make probably his finest suit ever. We knew that was going to happen. We knew the team was going to bond together. Now, things that caught me off surprise is Professor Banner, Professor Hulk, however you want to put it, is now going to be one, which would make sense. So that's kind of cool. You also know that they're probably going to break off the teams. I say Thor and Marvel will go do their thing, and then the rest will go do theirs. They're going to have to kind of divide and conquer. But the dumbest thing I ever heard, and I know it's from the comic book, you kill half of every living species on Earth and you become a fucking farmer. What are you, making potatoes for five guys? I mean, come on. It's kind of dumb. You just snapped your finger and killed all these people. Now you become a farmer. It would be like Charles Manson slaughtering all those people, and he decided to go get a job at Jack in the Box. I mean, it's, and we know the most important part. What we know this is going to happen is that, well, probably not to Marvel fans, it's which one of their favorite characters are going to die. Could be one, could be two. We don't know that. I think they're going to throw you a curveball, and I don't think it's going to be Tony or Cap. My money's on Thor. Or it could be Hulk. But seeing Hulk, the Hulk can't be killed, it may not be him. So, and then, but the biggest thing is, we know how the movie is going to end. They're going to defeat Thanos. They're going to reset time. They're going to bring 99% of the people back. So we kind of know how everything is going to go. We just haven't seen how they're going to do it. Now, of course, that makes a big difference. If it looks like it was kind of crappy how they got to those points, then you're not going to be happy. But if they do it in a good way, it's going to make for a good film. Now, a lot of people are thinking that the critics are going to be harsh on this movie. I don't think so. I think it's going to be the opposite. You have die-hard Marvel fans who are critics, and they're going to get nostalgic. And even if the movie is good and not great, they're going to give it a fresh rating. So I think the film is either going to be in like anywhere from 88 to 95, 96. That it may surpass Black Panther. Money wise, could it go past Avenger? Avatar? Yeah, because Avatar was made so long ago. Tickets have gone up. At our shithole theater, which is nothing but a glorified regular theater that they turned into an IMAX theater, and we're in the middle of Nowheresville, USA. Believe me, if you ever think about settling down in Ocala, Florida, don't. There's nothing fucking here. If you want horses, Jiffy stores, and restaurants, and this is your place. $18 for a ticket. I went down to Orlando, which is a real IMAX theater. Twice the screen was twice the size. Beautiful theater. And it was only $14 for IMAX. You know, they're getting a little bit ridiculous too. God bless you that are going to take 4 or 5 people, your family, to go see this, because it's going to cost you well over $100. You know, when I went to see Aquaman on high def, non-IMAX, high def, medium popcorn, medium soda, cost me $27. That's ridiculous. You can buy the movie for that. You know, they're getting a little bit ridiculous. In an age where people can hardly put food on their table, you're charging somebody almost $30 to, you know, buy a couple extras and the ticket to go in there. You know? So, can it beat Avatar? Yeah. Yeah. Can it come really close to it? Yeah. I think it's going to do anywhere from $2 billion to 2.4, 2.3. I just think the people are going to rush to see it. And even if it's not great, they're still going to see it. And the ones who do are going to see it multiple times. The only thing I say, please, people, don't faint and pass out like you did for Infinity War when your heroes died. Why were you fainting? You knew they were going to bring them fucking back. I mean, come on. It's like the guy that it was either Infinity War or Black Panther, went and seen it like 60 times. That's ridiculous. That's stupid. So, in closing, I have one thing to tell you. Enjoy it. It's especially Marvel fans, especially fans of comic book movies. Enjoy it. If it's a good movie, say it is. But if it's not, I expect you to be truthful and say, hey, it had some major plot holes and it wasn't that great. But if it's good, I'm going to be happy for you. I just want to go see a good movie. Two, stop with the fucking attack on, you know, Brie Larson and the chick who plays Rey. I mean, and Star Wars and stuff. Listen, you've made your point. The SJWs, who gives a shit? It's just somebody's fucking opinion. Didn't the founding fathers fight so we could have our a voice and say what we want? There's no problem with saying you dislike what this person says or represents or how they played a character. But you don't need to say it 100 fucking times. I mean, come on, just stop. Stop. Yeah, you see my hands moving. That gives away Italian. You know, we talk with our hands. So just go and enjoy the movie. If you like it, fine. If you think it's better than it's the greatest comic book movie ever, great. The problem with me watching The Dark Knight was I like more things that are possible. Things that are, you could say, like, maybe that could actually happen. The guy had the money and the right toys. I'm more grounded into reality. But it doesn't mean I won't enjoy a comic book movie the way Marvel does it. It's just I have different tastes. I can't do moronic comedies like American Pie and shit like that. I can't. You know, I like drama. I like action. I like movie like Sicario, which was the part where he slaughters all those people my jaw hit the ground. That's great movie making right there. So I enjoy a good genre, a wide genre of movies, except for moronic comedies. So go and enjoy the movie. I hope you have fun. But let's stop the battle between DC and Marvel. Who cares? As long as they make good movies. I think DC has finally figured out we can't beat Marvel at the game they created. Let's just do our own thing. Let's get people back in the theater. But you fucked Henry Cavill. You had somebody who could play Superman, and you gave him... Man of Steel wasn't that bad until the third act, where they destroyed the city. And we all know that he would not... Excuse me, once again. He would not have done that and let thousands of people die. If you hadn't have done that, you'd have probably scored a 75 or 80. People would have been happy. You'd have made more money. That's why I'm glad Zack Snyder's gone. I'm sorry for what happened to his daughter, but I'm glad he's out of this. You know, so it's like I said, DC I think is kind of figured out things. We need to do things a little bit different. And they've made a couple good movies. I think the Rock playing Black Adam, I can't wait to see that. I think that's going to be good. But, Lord, please, this is my last thing I'm going to say. I am the least racist person. I worked for a black man for 8 years. Treated me better than most of my family did. There isn't a racist bone in my body. Do not put a African American as James Bond. You talking about the internet losing their shit? It'll happen. It will happen. It'll be worse than anything we've ever seen. And just keep it the way it is. Bond was a white British guy. Just leave it alone. And, you know, when you make such huge, drastic changes, that's when fans get upset. But fans also claim they want to see things different. But different to a point. Not extreme, like over the top. The gentleman they want to use to play Bond, I think he would be fantastic. But the people aren't ready for that. They're not ready for that. And I will sorely miss Daniel Craig. That is probably the biggest movie I'm looking forward to. I'm kind of leaning on the fence. It just depends on what they do in the next Star Wars movie. But the last Bond movie is really what I'm looking forward to see how Daniel Craig ends all of this. So, enjoy the movie, have fun, and just chill out. You know, with the criticisms, the SJWs, the comparison of DC and Marvel, they're just movies. And the thing is, they are fictional, make-believe comic book people. They're not real. They're not going to make you... It's not going to change your life in any way. Just go and enjoy the movie. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. But I hope you do. Later.